Did Skar King live up to the hype? No. Is Skar King still a pretty decent villain? I think yes. Hey friends, hey Jonathan. In this video, I'm gonna try to give a positive spin on the latest villain in the MonsterVerse franchise, Skar King. Some people don't like him, some people do. I think he's decent and doesn't deserve all the hate he's been getting on TikTok. He's not great, but he's not the worst. He's definitely a better villain than Godzilla in my opinion, but before we get into that, I'd like to quickly tell you how this video is going to be structured. First, we're gonna look at the good aspects of Skar King's character, then we're gonna look at the aspects that aren't as good, before finally talking about the next potential villain in the MonsterVerse franchise, and how we can learn from and be better than Skar King. But first, the good aspects. As mentioned before, I think Skar King's a better villain than Godzilla, and that's because of two reasons. Skar King has more personality than Godzilla, and has a greater impact on the narrative than Godzilla. Skar King is a gigantic, psychopathic orangutan who uses a titan's spine as a whip. That's awesome. Godzilla is a powerful robot. Clearly, Skar King has more personality than Godzilla and is the more interesting villain to watch. Skar King's a lot more expressive and has a stronger connection to the Titans as Skar King and Godzilla have fought before, and Skar King and Kong are both apes, so the conflict feels more personal this time around. Skar King also had a greater impact on the story than Godzilla. He's the reason Kong almost lost his arm, and he's the one who caused havoc on Brazil by harnessing Shimu's power. Although to be honest, besides those few things, he didn't really have much of an impact on the narrative, but still, he did more impactful things than Godzilla. Skar King's design is also pretty good. His red fur stands out, and his slim build nicely contrasts Kong's bulkier figure. Skar King's eyes are striking and unsettling to look at, and his general mannerisms are creepy and brazen, making for a pretty interesting villain at first glance. But due to some strange writing decisions, Skar King doesn't get to live up to his fullest potential, which brings us to the not so good aspects. Let's get this out of the way. Skar King relies too much on Shimu. When Skar King lost his first fight with Kong, he used Shimu as a way to scare Kong away. And that takes away from his character a little bit because this shows that he can't really hold his own. Now, this would have been okay if he only did it once, but he constantly uses Shimu to gain the upper hand, and it's portrayed in a way where it's not like he wants to use Shimu, but rather he needs to use Shimu because he himself isn't that strong. One easy way they could have remedied this perception was to give us one or two more scenes of Skar King kicking some butt and holding his own. Because as it currently stands, Skar King pretty much loses every single fight in this movie, and I don't know why they wrote it in that way. I wish they emphasized more on Skar King's combat efficiency and showed us more of him using his agility and acrobatic traits to win some fights. But instead, he gets absolutely mollywopped by Kong, Shimu, and Godzilla, and then literally gets slam dunked to death. Kadunk. One glaring detail that I noticed while watching the fight that I thought was quite hilarious was Skar King's lack of environmental awareness. This guy literally gets sneak attacked so many times by characters that are literally in his line of sight. It's insane but hilarious at the same time. He also does this thing where he just pauses to smile in the middle of a fight. It's kinda cute, but also kinda weird. Another thing that's weird is how they rendered Skar King's agility and acrobatic skills useless by having a fight scene take place in an area where gravity is reversed. That's like buying an ice cream and then putting it in the microwave. Like, why would you do that? Anyways, what I'm trying to say about all of this is that I don't necessarily think it's Skar King's fault that he ended up getting written this way. Given to another group of writers, I think they could have built on the super solid foundation that was set up in the first sequence when we initially meet Skar King. I don't mind the fact that Skar King lost his first fight with Kong. I think it actually makes sense because Kong is probably the stronger of the two. I just wish Skar King was smarter, that he was more environmentally aware and was able to dodge attacks that he could literally see coming, that he wouldn't pause in the middle of a fight to smirk at something, that he was more independent and didn't rely on Shimu so much. He could have been such a better villain. But what's done is done, and what we've got is a villain that, while still better than Godzilla, leaves a lot to be desired. However, I'm hopeful that they'll learn from Skar King and make sure that the next villain in the MonsterVerse franchise is actually smart and combat capable. I would also like the next villain to have a more justifiable reason for doing the things that they do, because we didn't really get that with Skar King. He just wanted to be the alpha just because. So hopefully the next MonsterVerse villain will have a better reason than that. That is all for this video. Thank you for watching, my friends. I hope you have a wonderful day.